Hi, welcome back. It's time to cover pronoun antecedent agreement. Ooh, say that 10 times real fast. This is Unit 11. Okay, we do, though, need to think back to the grammar, whether you did junior analytical grammar or analytical grammar, but we need to remember about pronouns, okay? So, if you need to pause right here and go back and find your notes and look them over, that's fine. I can wait. But it's really going to help you in this unit if you just go back over those notes real fast. All right. What we need to be aware of is that the antecedent for a pronoun is. Remember, you learned the antecedent is the word a pronoun refers to or stands for, right? Well, those need to agree. And they need to agree in a couple of different ways. They need to match in number, in gender, and in person. And I'll explain what each of these mean. It doesn't matter what job the pronoun is doing, whether it's a subject or direct object, or if it's acting as a modifier. Remember, we learned about those possessive pronouns that we've always called adjectives, right? But it still needs to match the antecedent, no matter what it's doing. So let's first talk about number. When we're talking about number, we're referring to whether a pronoun is singular or plural. So you can't have a singular pronoun with a plural antecedent, or vice versa. Normally, we do this correctly, just naturally, but there are a few times the way English is put together when we don't, and we're going to talk about that because you need to be made aware of it. First off, let's review these pronouns right here, which are singular, okay? And sometimes it's pretty obvious, like no one, okay? But each, either, neither, one, anybody, anyone, these are all singular pronouns. The thing is, we have a tendency to match them with prepositional phrases that might have plural objects, like this. Each of the boys had his bat and ball. Now, you wouldn't say, if you took of the boys, that's a prepositional phrase, right? If you took that out of the sentence, you would say each had his ball. You wouldn't say each had their ball. But you need to remember, don't match the pronoun to the object of the preposition. It needs to match the subject, the original word, okay? So, when in doubt, just take out all the other stuff. Remember how we learned to undress the sentence back in junior and how to strip the sentence down? That's what you're going to need to do in your head to figure this out. Everyone needs to put his coat on. Now, it feels a little weird to say that because when you're saying everyone, you're usually addressing a group of people, but you're talking about each individual person in that group doing something, okay? So everyone needs to put on his coat or put his coat on. Someone had left his or her coat at church, okay? Now again, you're addressing a group of people, but really you're addressing a single person amongst that group, and you need to make sure you're talking and matching that the pronoun and antecedent there in number. Okay? Now let's talk about these pronouns right here, all, any, some, and none. Depending on the sentence, they can either be singular or plural. Let's look at these examples. Some of the students looked funny in their costumes. Okay, because we're talking about a big group of students, amongst them some, so more than one, say 2 or 3, looked funny in their costumes. So that's correct to say there. But some of the milk spilled when it was poured. You wouldn't say they, or right, for milk. It's some of one thing. So it's a portion of one thing. So you would use a singular. Okay? 2 or more singular antecedents joined by or nor are treated as singular. So either Bill or Ted will bring his camera. Only one or the other will do it. Neither Jessica nor Julie would repeat what she said. She said something and won't repeat it, or she said something and won't repeat it. But we're talking about them singularly. So or nor makes it singular. Let's go ahead and turn the page. Gender refers to whether the pronoun is masculine, feminine, or neuter. What that really means is, are we talking about boys or girls, or we don't know? Okay? Look at this first example. The wagon lost one of its wheels. Now, a wagon doesn't have gender, right? So we're going to use the neuter gender, it. The waitress said her feet were tired. Okay, waitress is a woman, so we need to use a feminine pronoun. The postman took his time. If you're talking about a male postal carrier, you need to use his. When an antecedent is meant to indicate both masculine and feminine, it is correct to use masculine pronouns. It sort of refers to everyone. However, to be politically correct, it's often best to use the phrase his or her. Do not use they. Please don't use they. For a lot of people, especially me, it's a big pet peeve. You wouldn't say, someone has left their books under the tree. This is a singular thing here, okay? And we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl, right? A boy could have left his books, a girl could have left her books. But this isn't correct because now it doesn't match in number, right? It needs to be someone has left his or her books under the tree. All right. Person. Person refers to the following: first person, second person, third person. And you may have heard these terms in your writing instruction, okay? So you and I are having a conversation, aren't we? And no offense, but I'm first person. So whenever I refer to myself, I use I, me, mine, okay? We, us, ourselves. But if I'm included, that's first person. If I'm talking about you, then I would say you or your or yours. That's second person. I'm first, you're second. Now let's assume we're talking about someone else. You and I are having a conversation about your little brother, okay? So I would say he, him, or a little sister, her, she. But that's somebody else, a third person. So first, second, third. Now, what's important is that we need to keep the same person going when we have a sentence. So look at this. One should never let your sadness show. Okay? This sentence starts off in third person. One is a way of referring to someone in the third person. And then switches to second. So you have to pick one. One should never let one's or his sadness show. If you look in your list of third person pronouns, those all come from that list. Here's another one. I find that reading in low light is hard on your eyes. Well, look at me. I find it that it's hard on your eyes. Who knows? You might not have a problem reading in low light at all. Okay? That sentence doesn't make sense. I find that it's hard on my eyes. Okay? So we need to make sure that we keep the right person. Now, the new buzzword for you to write on your reference chart is pronoun antecedent agreement. And here's a way you can shorten it if you want to. It's okay. As long as we know what you mean on the answer keys, you'll be fine. Let's go to the exercise. In the sentences below, circle the correct pronoun so that it agrees with its antecedent. Now, this first one concentrates on pronouns that agree in number. So let's look at the first one. Someone in my family needs to put his or their toys away. Well, someone, is that singular or plural? That's singular. One, right? So I need a singular pronoun here. His or their? Good, his. That's how those work. Okay, let's go to the back real fast. Mom and Dad try to keep our house at 615 Oak Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, as neat as possible. So I've got a number here underneath this comma. I've got a number here under Oak and another under this comma right there. Do you see which comma is incorrect? Good. Number one is splitting what? Who or what try? Mom and Dad try. So it splits the subject and verb. What do I have going on here? That number two is under the big capital letter. Ah, capitalization. What about this comma? Do you remember your buzzword for that? Right, dates and addresses. Okay, turn back to the front of your page, okay? Can you do sentences 3 and 5? And then we'll check back and see how your answers go. See you in just a second. Let's check your answers on sentence number 3. My little brother picked up his teddy bear by its, his, or her head. Well, sometimes little boys or little girls will say whether a teddy bear or stuffed animal is his or her, but we don't know in this sentence. And for the most part, it really doesn't have gender. That needs a neuter gender, which is its. Let's try number 5. One should always put away one's toys or your toys. Well, do you see any person earlier in the sentence? One. Now, if you need to, look at your notes to remind yourself what person. It's third person to say one. So, which is third person here? One's or your? Good. One's. One should always put away one's toys. All right? Doing a great job. And only a few more units left to go. We'll see you next time on Unit 12.
This has been produced in association with the Potter School. For more information, please go to potterschool.org.